Hi, everybody, and welcome to Unified, a podcast feed from First Church Belmont Unitarian Universalist. We'll be sharing sermons and stories, especially thematic content made new every week. We're so glad you're here, and for more information about who we are and opportunities to grow and deepen, swing by the church on Sundays or check out our website at uubelmont.org. And for now, enjoy this new content.
On Mother's Day and on most days, truth is better than fantasy. The truth is a path to freedom and to peace. The next poem comes from a poet and activist named Sonu Chandi. She's the daughter of Indian immigrants. She's a senior advisor at Democracy Forward. She serves on the board of the Transgender Law Center. She's this extraordinary person who I got to meet recently and who is a member of All Souls Unitarian Church in Washington, D.C. This is teaching my daughter to recap the toddler toothpaste. Don't push hard. Don't push hard. Don't push so hard. No need to press. It's so. Just place it gently on top. Let it settle into its place, and only then, gently, twist. Not that way. Not that way. The other way. Try one way, and if it doesn't work, then stop. Then stop. Then stop completely. And then try another way. Trust me. Trust me. You will know when it is time to stop turning. On more days than not, I feel it, the pinch of mothering failures, large and small, real and imagined. I arrive at the Butler School in town to pick up our daughter, Aaliyah, probably spinning in from a meeting. Maybe I walked on this day, maybe I drove, but I breathe a sigh of relief when I see that the kids have not yet been released. A small victory. But as I wait, my phone pings. A WhatsApp message appears on the screen, reminding me that I still haven't ordered a new sash for my girl, who will be bridging to a new level in Girl Scouts soon. The reminder induces a cringe and sets off a cascade of thoughts about how I didn't volunteer as much this year and never took her out to sell cookies, along with the rising awareness that my hair is probably sticking out in all directions because of the wind and the hairy jog to the pickup spot. I feel again all the ways I would like to be showing up for Ben and Jack, our two teenagers, the homework help I could offer, the patient listening, the just right words that would wrench them from their phones and propel them into the world. The list goes on and on. I take a deep breath and let go. Try one way. Try one way. And if it doesn't work, then stop. Then stop. Then stop completely and try another way. Mother's Day sits at the meeting place of our societal beliefs about womanhood, about gender, about race, identity, and about childhood. And the dominant social narratives, the collective dreams that shape our expectations, are often distorted and constricting. I was shaped, like it or not, by the ads for drugstore perfume that ran constantly in the 80s. I can bring home the bacon, fry it up in a pan, and never, 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 never let you forget you're a man, 'cause I'm a woman, Anjali. Anjali, the 24-hour perfume for the 24-hour woman. It was absurd, but despite ourselves, many of us bought into the idea that we were supposed to be all things to all people all the time, which is not a desirable ideal or possible to measure up to. And I don't think it's just parents. I think that our children sometimes also feel like they don't measure up. And I wish something better for all of us. It's time to try another way. I was in middle school the first time I heard Sojourner Truth's most famous speech. The setting was a women's rights convention in Akron, Ohio. The year was 1851, over 200 years into the practice of slavery in the Americas, and more than a decade away from its formal end in the U.S. in 1865. It would go on in Cuba until 1886. The version of the speech I heard in my youth is probably historically inaccurate. Sojourner Truth had 5 children, not 13, but it has stayed with me, a first lesson in intersectionality. She says, "That man over there says that women need to be helped into carriages and lifted over ditches and to have the best place everywhere. Nobody ever helps me into carriages or over mud puddles or give me any best place. And ain't I a woman? Look at me. Look at my arm. I have plowed and planted and gathered into barns, and no man could head me. And ain't I a woman? I could work as much and eat as much as a man when I could get it, and bear the lash as well. And ain't I a woman? I have borne 13 children and seen almost all sold off to slavery. And when I cried out with my mother's grief, none but Jesus heard me. And ain't I a woman?" Sojourner Truth has a teaching for us that is still relevant this Mother's Day. The simple truth that black women are women, whole, real people, real mothers, and black children are real children. Today's Black Lives Matter movement exists because we still need to learn basic lessons about black personhood, about all kinds of personhood, about the personhood of people with disabilities, about the personhood of trans people, about the personhood of Asian Pacific Islanders, about the personhood of people with mental illness. We are all fully, wholly human. William Ellery Channing is widely considered to be the father of American Unitarianism. In 1838, he preached a sermon called Likeness to God that I have always loved. It's one of my favorite of his sermons. In Channing's interpretation of Christian teachings, every human being is made in the image of God, touched by a ray of the infinite light. He preaches that as a person cultivates their human capacities for wisdom and goodness, creativity, courage, and love, they extend the presence of divinity in the world. That means that oppressing or denigrating human beings restricts their unfurling and diminishes the reach of the holy. That means that the diversity and the variety and the particularity of all people is part of the unfurling of the holy. The belief that any person or group of people is less than fully human is a serious spiritual error. Such thinking is the cause of much of the world's suffering. It creates a permission structure for oppression, repression, and senseless violence. We are here to encourage human unfurling, to abet human growth and thriving. The Reverend Howard Thurman tells the story of his grandmother, who, like Sojourner Truth, had been enslaved. He says that his grandmother used to ask him to read from the Bible, but never from the Pauline epistles. She said that during the days of slavery, the master's minister would sometimes hold services for the slaves, and always the white minister used as his text something from Paul. At least 3 or 4 times a year, he used as his text, "Slaves, be as obedient to your masters as unto Christ." But Thurman says that his grandmother taught him to cherish and respect himself, whatever messages he encountered outside his family. Thurman was captivated of his grandmother's stories of a different minister, an enslaved minister, who held secret religious meetings with his fellow slaves. The quote I'm going to share next includes a word I won't say from the pulpit. I'll replace it with the word Negro. Thurman says, "How everything in me quivered with a pulsing tremor of raw energy when, in her recital, she would come to the triumphant climax of the minister, 'You are not Negroes. You are not slaves. You are God's children.' He said this established for the secret congregation the ground of personal dignity, a profound sense of self-worth, which alone is not enough, but without which nothing else is of value." And it's right here. with us always. Don't push hard. Don't push so hard. No need to press it so. Just place it gently on top. Let it settle into its place. A couple of years ago, I led a class here at First Church, an introduction to Unitarian Universalist theology. We took up classic theological questions about the nature of God and humanity and church, and explored Unitarian Universalist answers to those questions. As an exercise, I asked members of the class to reflect on salvation, asking, from what do we need to be saved, and how are we saved? Then I invited folks in the class to bring pictures representing their answers to those questions. I brought the famous photo of a 9-year-old girl named Kim Phuc running down a road in Vietnam with other children, having been burned severely by a napalm strike. The photo is called The Terror of War, but it prompts me to ask, in the spirit of Sojourner Truth, ain't that girl a child? And in the spirit of Howard Thurman's grandmother, ain't that girl a child of God? Kim, who is now a Canadian citizen, went on to establish an international foundation that provides aid to children victims of war. This is one of the ways we are saved. No need to press it so. Just place it gently on top. Let it settle into its place, and only then, gently twist. The 1870 Mother's Day Proclamation was written by Julia Ward Howe, and it called for women to band together across nationalities and political differences in service to peace. She wrote, "From the bosom of the devastated earth, a voice goes up with our own. It says, disarm, disarm. The sound of murder is not the balance of justice. Blood does not wipe out distress, nor violence vindicate possession. Let women now leave home for a great and earnest day of counsel. Let them solemnly take counsel with each other as to the means whereby the great human family can live in peace." This Mother's Day, my prayer is that the great human family can get free from narrow views of motherhood. Women like Sojourner Truth and Howard Thurman's grandmother point to a deeper truth, a truth central to our UU faith, that all people are precious and worthy. I read an interview recently with Rachel Goldberg Poland, who's the mother of Hirsch Poland, an American-Israeli young man currently being held hostage in Gaza. She learned a few weeks ago that her son is still alive, though he lost an arm in the blast that rocked the music festival where he was captured. Rachel and her husband have been advocating for his release in public and in private meetings with world leaders. In an interview with the Wall Street Journal, she says, "I am just a mom and a person who doesn't want anybody getting further hurt and affected. I can just speak on wanting calm and an end to the suffering of this entire region, to the innocent civilians in Gaza, including the 132 civilians who were dragged there on October 7th, including Hirsch. Could the atrocities of Gaza be countenanced? The decimation of communities, the death and injury of tens and thousands of people, the onset of famine, could any of this have been possible if people in positions of power understood Gazans to be real people? I believe the horrors of the last 7 months would not have been possible. Just as the horrors of slavery would not have been possible at this country's founding if people in positions of power understood Black women and children to be fully human, full expressions of the holy, I believe that encounter in a hospital room over a woman would not have been possible. There's a lot of hard news out there for women right now, including rapidly diminishing reproductive rights, the right to choose whether and when to have children. The assault on reproductive rights includes restrictions on abortion care and in vitro fertilization, diminishing supports for gender-expansive people and communities in their parenting, and threats to the rights of same-sex couples. These restrictive policies are out of touch with the lived reality of pregnancy and parenthood and modern life. I think of my family of origin and its precariousness during my early years. My mom went back to school when she was 23 with 2 kids in tow. My older brother was 6 and I was 3 when she returned to Stanford to complete her undergraduate degree and then law school. She was raising us on her own, working and putting herself through school. My dad, from whom she was separated, helped as much as he could, but he couldn't help much. We didn't know it then, but he was dying. There was no wiggle room, but she made it through and we made it through as a family. And I wonder, what would have happened if my mother had become pregnant in that era, if she had been forced to bear a 3rd child? What would the trajectory of her life and my brother's life be? In the real world, the ability to decide when and whether to have a child is essential to women's capacity to shape their lives and provide for the next generation. On Mother's Day and on most days, truth is a better approach than fantasy. The truth is a path to freedom and peace. Reality is often messier than our dreams, but there is beauty in the mess. My childhood was imperfect, and so is my parenting, but it is enough. I am enough. We are enough. You are enough. Try one way, and if it doesn't work, then stop. Then stop. Then stop completely and try another way. Trust me. Trust me, you will know when it is time to stop turning. Happy Mother's Day, everyone, and amen.